Hello and welcome to Dragon Food for October. This was going to be a complete overload of making chocolates. I made 12 different varieties with different types of decoration, different types of moulding and painting and chocolate work. And then my camera decided it was going to go crazy. So about halfway through the filming, actually my camera stopped working completely. So I did the rest of it handheld on my phone. But I managed to miss most of the beginning or the end of whichever processes I was doing. So rather than try and build the 12 recipes into a video using lots of talkovers and that kind of thing, which I think is ridiculous, I've managed to actually find one chocolate that I've been able to get from start to finish, all in decent quality with sound, you know. So I'm going to show you how I make salted caramel chocolates. Enjoy.
In a glass bowl anyway, that does hold some heat, so that's got to about 42, which is pretty much dead on where I need it to be. So I use silicone moulds for chocolate work. These are candy moulds. You can use them for hot sugar and that kind of thing, but chocolate works just as well. So I'll line them up in twos. And here comes the messy part. Try not to tip the bowl because that does end up having more spillage. So I'm just going to scoop the chocolate onto the mould. Now these have been through the dishwasher. I always wash them before using, even if they've been in clean storage. And just make sure they've completely dried. If you need to go into all the kind of crooks and nannies with a kitchen roll or something, just to make sure there is no water hanging about anywhere, because that will cause your chocolate to seize. There are ways to rescue chocolate once it's seized, but I've never had any of them work for me, so I haven't decorated these yet. I will be doing some drizzling of coloured chocolate and chocolate melts to differentiate the different flavours, but that's not yet. Sometimes I do it before I put the chocolate in, sometimes I do it after. Depends on how I'm feeling on the day. Right, so now I'm just going to tip the excess into the next mould. And dark chocolate, plain chocolate, doesn't get very thin, so you need to make sure you've tipped it well and given it a good shake, so you get quite a thin coating. A bit more. I'm using a piece of foil here as a background, so that when I've done with it, I tip all the excess onto the foil and let it set, so that way I can remelt it as and when required. Okay, so just palette knife just to tidy up the edges, and then turn it over onto a tray. And next one down, next one in line, and carry on. So I do this for all three of my chocolates, and then let them sit for at least a couple of hours till they're set, and then pipe in the fillings. So I'll come back to you for that bit. 220 ml of double cream and 2 tablespoons of dark muscovado sugar. In this pan I've got 60 grams of caster sugar. I'm just going to put onto a low heat. And this one here is the pan I use for the praline. And how you clean a pan that's got caramel in it is you put a couple of inches or an inch or so of water in and just bring it to the boil, and it breaks it all down on its own, so minimal washing up. So now I've just got to wait for the sugar to start to caramelise. I want to avoid stirring as much as possible. Just kind of shake the pan rather than stir at this stage. So this can take a couple of minutes, so I'll come back to you for the next bit. Okay, so my caramel's quite nice and dark. I'll take it off the heat, and my sugar's melted into the cream here. So I'll turn that one off. And very carefully pour cream into the caramel. And it's going to spit and fizz and everything. So don't delay too long before you start stirring it. So just stir it through. It stops fizzing, and then return it to the heat, and then cook it until all the caramel has melted into the cream. Make sure you scrape around to pick up all the caramel so you don't end up with lumpy bits of caramel in your bits of sugar really in your caramel. So just keep it moving, and you're on a fairly low heat anyway, so it gets to a nice even colour. Jake, get out of the way. Sorry, there's a dog in the kitchen. So, that is pretty much caramel. So, in order to make this salted caramel, you need to add some salt. So, this is sea salt flakes. So, put in a decent pinch to start with, and then you can taste it and add some more later on as required. I'm just going to pour it into a jug for now so it can cool. So I'll come back to you for the next bit. Okay, so now I'm at the stage of filling these chocolates. So I put my caramel into a piping bag, and I just stuck it in the fridge just to get it down to temperature. Something to remember, the tip of it is going to get much colder in the fridge because there's less volume there. So when you get it out, just make sure you give it a wiggle around so it's all kind of equalised. So I've also got my salt out, so I can put a little sprinkle on top of these because I'm not going to cap these, so I'll leave them as they are. I've also got with two of the cream centres out of the fridge just coming up to room temp, so they're pipeable. So, and I've also got some thin film so I can cover these, so I'm going to stick them in the freezer so that they're nice and stable and hard so that I can get them out the moulds. And I've also got a food bag in a mug so I can just squeeze the excess into that. So, because these are not going to be capped off, I can be quite generous with the squeeze on these. So I'll pretty much fill them up. Okay, so I've got my salted caramel out of the freezer, and I'm just releasing them from the moulds. This chocolate hasn't tempered very well. I think I put them in the freezer too soon, but it adds to the general appearance. So these moulds are quite easy to release. As I've said previously, the polycarbonate ones, you have to make sure your chocolate is absolutely tempered, otherwise it will never release. So with these it's a lot more forgiving. So I'm just lining these up on a tray. So I've got these lined up here. I've got a little bit of my white chocolate left over from the last lot of moulds you can see there. So I'm just going to cut a very, very small tip off of the end and just have a quick practice. Yep. And just working along. It's easier if you put them into fairly neat rows. And this white chocolate will set quite quickly because these are still frozen. I'm going to go over them again. Go over as many times as you like. I like to have a lot of layers on here because it adds kind of a crisp top. Don't know how well the camera's going to pick that up. Like that. Right, wash my hands. Now just to add to the saltiness of them, salted caramel, so I didn't put very much salt into the caramel itself, just going to sprinkle a little bit extra on top. So this is sea salt, it's not kind of standard table salt. Okay, so I'm just going to leave those to one side until I'm ready to stick them in a box. So that's salted caramel finished.
I hope you enjoyed watching how I make salted caramel. I'm fairly disappointed that I couldn't do the full dozen recipes, but looking at it I think I would have ended up with 4 hours worth of video, which would have been ridiculous anyway. So I'm probably going to do some more chocolate work around about Valentine's, so look out for dragon fruit in February. If you have any particular recipes you want me to try, by all means, I'm quite happy to have a go. I've got about 50 or 60 recipes of my own anyway that I wouldn't mind sharing, given the opportunity, so that's something to look forward to in the future. So yeah, fairly disappointed in the tech, which now, as I'm editing, it's working. So it seems to want to turn on, it seems to want to do what it's supposed to do. So I don't know if it's something that I did that caused the camera to go crazy. It wasn't, the memory wasn't full, that wasn't an issue. It's just the thing wouldn't switch on. Yeah. Fully charged and everything. So technology is not great. I'm still looking for a new camera for my birthday, which hopefully birthday money might come through on that one. So I'll see you next week for a 3-minute skill, which I haven't yet decided what I'm going to do. So when I work out what it is, you'll see what it is. So I'll see you next week.